Hey, what's up, Liches? Welcome to the channel. Today we're gonna bring back a product from the dead. The Dungeon Master Screen Dungeon Kit. Came out a couple of years ago. We're gonna open it up, break it down, show you what's inside, show you what's great about it.
This dungeon kit comes with 1 dry erase sheet, 36 Geomorph cards, 27 reference cards, a Dungeon Master screen, and something else which I'm gonna peek here. Oh yeah, a box to hold all your crap. We're gonna tear through all of that. We're gonna show you everything. We're gonna put everything together, and we're gonna let you know if this product is worth your money. Very first thing we got here, and what you're primarily paying for, is one of these landscape style.
Oh, we love to see it.
They are Dungeon Master screens, which we think are essential if you're a Dungeon Master. It's got some brand new artwork that is dungeon focused. There's some hook horrors on there. There's a little door, a little fun door with some runes on there. Looks like an elven city. This is a different product than the standalone DM screen that Wizards has offered. This is similar to their Wilderness Kit. The information on the back of this, there's some information that is the same as the standard DM screen, but this stuff is specific to dungeon diving.
What I like thinking about what I want on my DM screen is stuff I'm not normally thinking about. You get points for things that are like out there. We have, at the very top left, setting difficulty. Very simple. You know, I feel like Dungeon Masters know how to do this already, but there it is. So we also got monster motivation. That's kind of fun. It's a D20.
Let's see how are they motivated right now.
That dragon is seeking wealth. Hey,
That checks out.
what do you know? It's a basic dragon.
Let's stop on that for a second, because that's going to make your dungeon encounters, and even just any encounter that you have, instantly more
Interesting.
exactly.
Definitely. Again, we have the damage by level and severity, which kind of gives you an idea of the amount of punishment that your party can take. And then right below it, it tells you how to deal that damage with the new improvised damage table. Stumbling into a vat of acid, that's sweet.
So a lot of stuff that you might typically encounter in a dungeon.
Or in Minecraft. Tumbling into a vortex of fire in the elemental plane of fire, being crushed in the jaws of a godlike creature or a moon-sized monster. And that's the 24d10 damage.
Hey Tony, how much damage is that?
That's a lot of damage.
The main meat of this is all of your conditions, same as the standard Dungeon Master screen that's already available. The real meat and potatoes of this new DM screen comes from the right side of it. The first thing we have here is the State of Ruin. While you're building a dungeon, or maybe the first time that someone enters a cave or dungeony area, you can roll a d6 and you can get a State of Ruin.
Single one.
Perilous. It is extremely worn and prone to collapse. Any impacts or damage to the structure, including from spells and other area of effects, have a 50% chance of causing a collapse.
Oh.
See improvised damage table.
Hey, collapse. I feel like this set really helps you create a Darkest Dungeon or Diablo dungeon.
Procedurally generated.
Yes, where you can make a procedurally generated dungeon with D&D.
You actually, I think you technically could. We have dungeon encounters right below State of Ruin.
This happens on a 1 when you do D20 rolls every day and night. Every day and night. And, oh my god.
You rolled a 1? He wasn't even going to bother rolling, because what are the chances he's going to roll a 1? So you rolled a 1, which means you're going to roll to have an encounter.
All right, so what do we got? We got a 4.
A hostile creature prowls nearby. You choose the creatures, selecting 5 with a challenge rating equal to the level of the player characters. These creatures are either monsters native to the dungeon or hostile explorers.
You know what? For that one, I feel like, what's their motivation? They're recovering from a battle. I feel like that makes it a little more interesting rather than
But it tells you
random stuff.
It tells you to do that. It tells you to use the monster motivation.
Okay. That's perfect.
Next, we have a D100 Dungeon Chambers. We are encountering this next room, which is 81. Oh, storage room. What could be in there? Could be anything. Could be a bunch of gnome experiments.
Maybe some vats of acid.
Yeah. So you can have that improvised damage. So after the Dungeon Chambers table, there's not a whole lot new here. The new ones here, we have visibility for outdoors, audible distances, and foraging DCs. I like the foraging DCs a lot. That tells you what your food and water availability is.
I like that because they kind of do that for outdoor areas like deserts, and it tells you the abundance of the area. This is kind of funny though, having visibility outdoors in a dungeon themed, but hey, it's there. I really like that audible distance thing. What's the dice pool for it?
So say you've rolled a 7 and the party's making noise, so that you times that by 10. So 70 feet away, you know in your head, you're like, all right, anytime that these guys are 70 feet away from my monsters, my encounters, you're like, I can start activating them prior to them getting there. So you start making your dungeons feel more alive. You start making your wilderness feel more alive by not just waiting for your characters to encounter them like they're static if-then statements where it's like, if they open the door, then the salamanders pop out of the hot tub lava time machine and interact with them. Classic Dungeons and Dragon modules and stuff have mega dungeons. The module, the Dungeon of the Mad Mage for 5th edition, is a mega dungeon. It's 20 levels of just pure bullshit. And if you're really interested in that style of D&D, which a lot of people are, especially if you're coming from that old school earlier editions, that's how you play. Like, we are dungeon diving. This is kind of cool. I think you could use this in conjunction with the DMG. We'll get it to a comparison right now. I think that this artwork is so much better and so much nicer than that Red Dragon artwork that comes on the original one.
I think so too. You get a lot more. You have, I think the more images you have, the more inspiration you give your players.
Yeah, let's compare them real quick. So this is what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
It's a cool one. It's all right.
Yeah, you got it's just the Red Dragon, right?
The Red Dragon flying.
Yep. It's neat.
It's okay. So for me, just alone, bye-bye. I'm going to use this DM screen pretty much every single time because I love dungeons and I love sending my players down into dark, scary holes. So according to this kit, we've got condition cards right here.
Nice.
These are nice. They're double-sided. On one side, they have some fun artwork. The new ones are brown mold, green slime, and yellow mold. Let's look at the actual kit and see what it wants us to do with these condition cards, because this is the only rules that exist are on the inside pocket of this folder, which I will say has this really beautiful, I love this purple, actually. Yeah. I'm a big fan of purple colors, and I really like the color purple that they've chosen here. So what you want to do with these, according to the instructions, is like we thought. Have them ready for encounters where you're like, all right, we're fighting something where you might be restrained. Maybe you're going up against a spider and they're going to be shooting in webs. So anytime someone's restrained, you can hand them this card. So those are the condition cards. These are okay. I don't love the quality on these. We're actually gonna unfold these and put them in a tuck box and everything for you.
I like that though. Your players forget a lot of the times, and DMs forget a lot of the times when your players have these conditions, right? So to have them
that's true.
on the page right in front of them, it's a good reminder for everybody, I think.
All right, next we have initiative.
Oh, I have a problem with this one.
You do?
Yeah, okay. Right, but let's go over it.
I like tactile stuff. I like touching shit at the table.
Yeah. The art is way cooler than the condition cards, though.
I don't know. I like this black and white, like sort of old school.
Yeah.
This is just the DM screen.
Yeah, it's the same art from the DM screen on these cards.
So it's reused artwork.
Oh, my beef is that what happens if enemies from the other room hear the battle and come in mid-fight? I forgot what the roles were for initiative. Where do I put them? Where do I slap them in here? Now, this is a 1 through 9 scale. That's my problem with it. I wanna try to figure it out before reading the instructions. Fine, I give up. What the hell is this grid map? Or is it grid map of...
According to the instructions, again, I actually did not know how this thing worked. On the opposite side of this, there is the actions in combat, which I like. On the back of this is this really sort of strange 1 to 100 grid map. According to the little instructions and rules in here, though, is you draw a map on this, and then you roll a D100 to determine where random encounters are going to be.
That's neat.
It is. It's kind of an interesting way to do it.
It's even more to the generated process.
Yes. You have to imagine someone was playing Diablo or Darkest Dungeon and was just like, I want a kit that's going to allow me to make all that.
Yeah.
This is kind of take it or leave it for me. I don't know how much I would actually use this. I use this part of it, the actions in combat, all the time.
The backside's nice, yeah.
Dungeon Geomorphs. This is an incredibly old concept.
Really?
there was an original TSR product called Dungeon Geomorphs, and this is exactly what they are. They were square back in the day. These are all drawn by a guy called Dyson Logos. You can find him on Instagram. I'll put his description down in the nether region. We're actually going to use these, and we'll show you in real time. We're going to take one of these. We're going to randomly draw it, use the Dungeon Master screen. We're going to roll some dice, and we're going to create a randomly
randomized dungeon.
Randomly generated dungeon in real time. We'll put a little clock up for you, and we'll see how fast we can make something happen.
This concept really shines to me. There's more than just north, south, east, west exits. You have corners. When they come in here, they can't go into some of the next sections. Some of them are blocked off. When you get into some of these areas, it's like dead end. Turn back around. So it's not all plus signs. There's angles.
So we'll use these. We'll put them to effect and see how good they are. And last but not least, you have a tuck box, a card box, a box for all your cards. Thanks, wizards. There we go.
This should have been a mimic.
Oh yeah, so there you go. You put it together. It's pretty sturdy.
Those are for all your geomorph cards,
it's for everything.
Your condition cards, your
once you do this though,
initiative cards.
This just becomes a really weak folder.
Yeah, weak sauce.
These guys and just sort of fold them, and
I'm gonna take them apart.
This is what it looks like once you punch everything out, or not even punch, you tear them apart. How do you feel about the quality of these?
I mean, it's not bad. They got what they were going for, and they just used the cardstock for everything, right?
I hate the perforated edges. I'm so like anal about that. Why isn't this a box set? Why don't you charge $5 more, make it a box that's this thick, and you have actual decks of Geomorph cards,
or like some metal case,
an actual deck of initiative cards,
an
actual deck of condition cards that are not these stupid things with these terrible perforations.
Well, I feel like the focus was the DM screen and the geomorphs.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And these should have at least been focused on a little bit more. Yeah, let's get that quality out.
Because, I mean, let's put this inside of here and see how it all feels once we...
Okay.
Honestly, this doesn't feel that bad once you put all your cards and stuff in it.
Yeah.
It holds up pretty good. I really didn't think it would. It's the card stock on it is really thin.
Yeah. But I definitely agree that you could have gotten some cash out of this just by upping the quality.
So the quality could be a little bit better. And as much as I was gushing about this artwork earlier on the Dungeon Master screen,
I'm sick of seeing it.
It's everywhere. I want all sorts of different kind of dungeon stuff.
Yeah.
But again, I think you're right. If this was a mimic, how funny would that be?
Yeah. It's
and
fun.
it just makes the product that much more fun. It makes it more imaginative, and it's just like you're like, yeah, we're playing D&D. We got the mimic tuck box. I want them to put out the best products possible.
Yeah.
And reusing artwork is lazy to me.
Super. Hey, what do you know?
Yeah.
All right, Liches, stick around for a real-time event. We are going to build a randomly generated dungeon with our geographical cards. Geomorph. With our Geomorph in time.
Jesus. We're the worst. We'll use the Dungeon Master's screen to figure out the state of the entire dungeon itself, if it's thriving or if it's decaying.
Yep.
And then we can roll randomly for each room. And then as we're sort of doing that, we're going to see if naturally it inspires us to create a location. And then we can sort of figure out maybe where some creatures and stuff will be.
Okay. The creation of the rest of the...
Yeah, that worked really well.
Right? Viewers, you're level 3. You have +5 proficiency in YouTube. If you're a subscriber, you have advantage. Beat a DC of 12. 7.
12 +5, right?
+5. Hit that like button. All right, we're done, Liches.
We're back. And it took us about 20 minutes. We'll have the timestamp perfectly right up there for you so you can see it. We have come up with an entire randomized location. We wrote it down on our graph paper here. believe it or not, this actually, like, just rolling the chambers and the state of ruin, it sort of started painting this weird picture.
It did. It gave us the framework for creativity. It gave us something to focus on.
Yes.
As rooms were popping up, we're like, okay, this is obviously this type of area.
So we're going to go through room 1 through 9 here that we've got, and then we're going to sort of explain what's happening in this dungeon for you guys. So location 1, we have a secure, and secure is the level of ruin, right?
Level of ruin.
And it's a temple. So that's the very first thing that we rolled. Room number 2 is a secure storage room. Room 3, back on the opposite side of the dungeon, we have a crumbling torture chamber. In room 4, there is a thriving guard room. Heading back next to that torture chamber, on room 5, we have an abandoned bestiary. Room 6 is an armory. And then on room 7, right next to that, is a smithy. Down below in the corridor, we have a
thriving hall.
There's a gathering hall. And then in 9, there is an abandoned crypt.
And our players enter from the north end.
That is going to be where they come in. We have closed off the southern entrance as well as the eastern entrance. What was the sort of the catalyst, and what were we thinking about for this encounter after we got everything from random tables?
We were most excited by that secure temple. You know, the first thing we thought of was an evil artifact that is secured within that temple.
Well, right below that secured temple, we're like, why is this secured? And then you have this crumbling torture chamber and abandoned...
this whole side is crumbled on this side.
And this abandoned bestiary. So we're like, well, this is clearly like this part of the dungeon's in disarray. Mm-hmm. And we left that western sort of passageway leading somewhere deeper and darker open.
Yeah. And also, like, this side of the dungeon is thriving, so there's like tons of NPCs and or monsters here. There's obviously some kind of forward base of operations in this section. So we're like, well, what if this is like a stalemate between like the undead and a group of angry dwarves?
Yes,
right?
And again, we rolled for the monsters in here, which are they're not really monsters; they're just really pissed off dwarf. Their motivation is to conquer this dungeon, and like you said, we arrived at this stalemate. You have these undead forces coming in from the west.
They're drawn to whatever artifact is in this temple,
which we figured out that these dwarves, they worship Abathor.
It's like an evil god of greed.
And so there's some sort of tainted chalice or tainted gold grail that is locked in this temple that the dwarves do not want the undead to get their hands on. And so essentially as players, you're walking into, it's like a Yojimbo kind of thing where you're walking into...
It's hell.
One side is just angry, pissed off dwarves, and the undead do not have to be unreasonable.
Yeah.
Like you can make intelligent monsters on the other side, so you can sort of figure out how you're going to play this faction. If you're going to make the undead overthrow all the dwarves,
they might be equally as evil either side, right?
They could be.
I'm sure the dwarves will be just as stubborn to talk and negotiate friendship or help, for that matter. They don't need help, right?
There's tons of opportunities for
role play,
combat, and exploration.
Tell them the best part.
The thing that really, we pulled out the DMG, and the thing that really pulled it all together is if you look off of room 6, there are these 2 starred locations. And we decided that those are going to be statues. We looked I forgot what page it is, but there's random tricks that you can do. And the object that will create this trick is the statue.
We tried to roll on it, but then we looked at what was on there and we're like, oh my god, this makes sense.
Yes.
That's when you can just start pulling things off of tables.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing that happens, if you touch any of these statues, we'll say they're all statues to Abathor. Mm-hmm. If you touch them, you are overcome by greed. Or if you're immediately going to be drawn to that tainted grail, that tainted chalice. We think that it'd be really cool that if you touch that chalice, you're definitely getting cursed. And we think that all of your items, all your magic items, all your weapons,
or like roll to find out which item you're holding.
Stuff is just going to start turning to gold the longer you hold on to this thing. And then it's going to compound where anybody that touches the objects that were created into gold, they get that greed by Abathor as well.
Right?
The dwarves know about this. So if you look in room 9, there's an abandoned crypt. There's a big pit there, or maybe it's actually just like a water, like it goes down forever and ever and ever.
Some kind of like holy water.
And they pick up these tainted gold relics and they throw them in that water.
It would be cool if the players come in and they immediately see a dwarf dragging another dwarf who is half gear is in gold.
Oh, like he's in chainmail.
Yeah, and he's dragging him back to the pool, and you're like, where the hell are they going?
Maybe you don't cut off the eastern entrance, and there's more dwarves this way. That's up to you. Literally just using the stuff that we have here in about 20 minutes, we created maybe 1 or 2 sessions worth of gaming. Pretty impressive. I gotta say, really, really cool. The Dungeon Geomorphs. That almost makes the whole product worthwhile. Both of us got done putting this down on graph paper, and we're like, man, this would be super fun. We should co-DM this and run it for some people because it's a cool encounter. All right, Kamo, that is it. That is everything. We have torn this dungeon kit from head to toe. Do you recommend this product for $25 to Dungeon Masters?
I would pick this up for $25. You got my money. I like it. I would use it. I love DM screens.
Yep.
DM screens are so powerful. The tools that they give you they're the tools for improvisation. Mm-hmm. It's the groundwork. It's the scaffolding to creating a fully fleshed out dungeon. If you only start rolling on tables, and then you just look at tables after that and pick what fits in with what is being built, then you've got something magical. I love it. It's so cool. My only suggestion is to Wizards of the Coast that I would have paid $5 or $10 more if these were just cards.
I would also recommend this product. I think for me, the big thing is it's the DM screen with those random tables. And I cannot explain how fun it was to create this with a dungeon.
And we were just kind of like these, whatever.
My one peeve with this is the kit says you could probably just use this and randomly create a dungeon on the fly. Maybe you could. You could literally randomly do that like Diablo thing where as they're going through the dungeons, you're just rolling to see what they're encountering.
I think it's because we want a little bit more out of each of the rooms. But yeah, you could like, okay, you're going to go down the east exit. We're going to pull a new card and plop it here. I'll roll a few random things and then let's go. I feel like I could do that. I could do some on the fly stuff. It wouldn't be as deep as that 20-minute thing.
I think it's better for prep than it is for in-game sessions.
Totally.
I think some of the other stuff in this is kind of useless. I think the condition cards, I wouldn't really always use them. Initiative cards are kind of take it or leave it. But I think the real value, again, your Geomorph cards are amazing. The dungeon screen itself has some really great dungeon-forward, dungeon-specific tables on it. And I actually really like that one sheet that I use it for the actions. I want new players to be able to know what actions they can take. I really don't know if I'm going to use that dry wet erase grid. Like, I don't know if I would draw this map on that grid and roll random and that's where random encounters are. Maybe I would. You don't know until you put this stuff into practice because I didn't know how I was going to feel about the Geomorph.
Yeah.
One of my biggest hurdles when I'm coming up with a session is maps because this doesn't have to be a dungeon like underneath a castle or a crypt or something. This could be an outdoor keep. Great little product. It's not perfect. I 100% agree with you. I think they should have put a little bit more effort, made it a box set. Let us know what you guys think. Have you purchased this? Do you use it? What do you think of those Geomorph cards? Is it Morphin' time? I think it might be Morphin' time.
It is D&D Morphin' time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content weekly. If you liked this product review, take a look at our other video. It's on the Campaign Case Creatures unboxing.
Check it out.